Alright, we're going to do a video here on how to change a tire on one of these tubeless systems. So initially what you want to do is let the air out of your inner tube and your tire, and you can see I've already done that. And you want to loosen up the rim lock so that it's loose. Once you've got that done, the next part is to break the bead, and usually you just push down really hard, you can get the bead broke. And I use a tire stand. I don't know, mine's a Moose Racing. You can buy them. I highly recommend them. I put a piece of old garden hose on mine to just kind of make it a little bit softer for the rim or the spokes. You lift this up just a tiny bit. Okay. Go back around. Break the bead. All right, so we got that part done. Now let's get ready for the next part. We'll get our tire spoons out here and we'll take that sucker off there. Okay, now the tricky part. Basically, I just use some old spoons that I have. And what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna get them down in there. And if you can get about 3 of them in there, that will help. There we go. Okay, I use a sprocket to wedge them in there. Then I got a big pry bar. This is a Harbor Freight special. You can get 3 of these for like $5. They come in different sizes. Anyway, I like the long leverage. The end is flat. When you're doing them with tubes or whatever, you're very unlikely to pinch a tube. But anyway, now you just wedge them in there and begin to work all the way around. Get your tire spooned off. Basically what you want to do is push down really hard with this hand. Push down hard. That wedges it underneath. Then just pry up with the other hand. It goes pretty easy. You can see I've got green slime in mine. I put about 8 ounces in there. It helps to seal the tire initially when you mount it. And if you get a puncture, it'll let you know exactly where the puncture is because you'll be able to see the green slime coming out. All right. So we got that side undone. Now we'll flip the tire over and do the other side. Now what you want to do with a tubeless system is be sure that you're not getting onto the actual inner tube, because if you pry that up, you're going to end up ruining that piece. So you want to make sure that you're just on the tire and not the liner part. Now there are all kinds of spoons out there. You can get whatever you want. I'm a cheap bastard, so I just use these old ones that I've had for years and years, and they do the trick. Okay. Now you can see the slime mess that I have in there. Once you get the tire off, you're going to get slime everywhere. So just push down and get it past this brass piece here, and off she comes. That's all there is to it. Alright, so the next part is to wash all that crud off there. I take it over to a sink, wash it off with soap and, well, not soap, but just water. And I usually wipe out the tire with a bunch of paper towels and throw them away as well. And then I'll get ready to mount the new tire. Okay, this is the wheel after I've cleaned up all the slime off of it. You can see I've cleaned it out. When you're cleaning it, you know, take that opportunity to pull back your tube, your inner tube section, and check its ridge. Make sure that it's not degrading over time. They will begin to rot, and they won't work anymore. You'll have to replace this. You can buy replacement inner tubes, and the tube that goes inside there, you can buy those replaced as well. Check your rim tape. Make sure you don't have any that's coming loose or you know, cut through all the rim, all the spokes. So just give it a good cleaning and it should be good. Okay, the next part is to insert the rim into the tire. And NewTek, the Tubliss people, give you this little shoehorn. You put that down in your tire on the edge, and make sure you got your rotation arrow if your tire's rotational. A lot of these tires got rotational arrows and they show, you know, a direction, but if you look at the knob pattern, I seriously doubt it makes any difference. If you get it on backwards, it's not the end of the world. I do it about 50% of the time. Anyway, so my rotation arrows go in that direction. So what I'm going to want to do is put this in there, so it's going to go that way. And in order to get that in there, what you do is you simply take your big pry bar like I'm doing, and you just keep pushing down on the rim, and you get your tire wedged in there. There we go. And once she's in there, just give it a good push. I probably should have put a little lube in there. Don't forget to pull your shoehorn out. I always forget to do that. That would have helped if I'd have soaped it a bit. Some soap on there. And now I'll just pull the tire up onto there. She's being stubborn. Usually they just go right in. Alright, I had to use my pry bar a little bit, but now you can see the tire, the wheel is inside the tire, and it's inside on both sides. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll put it up back on the stand, and we'll get our pry bars. I'm going to use soapy water. I don't care what they say, I use soapy water on all mine, and it works fine. So I'm going to soap that up, and we'll get that thing spooned on. Okay, make sure you soap it up really good. Make sure you lube that inner tube. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to begin spooning this bad boy on. And I again just use my big pry bar. And with a tubeless system, you don't really have to worry too much about hitting you don't have to worry too much about hitting and pinching your tube. But what you do got to worry about is tearing up the bead. So be careful as you spoon it on to not tear up your bead. If you just go nice and easy and don't take too big of bites, she'll just go right on. And you should be just fine. There we go. That last little bit, we'll just pop there. So there we have the first side on. Okay, so I got one of my bead buddies in place till I get a couple good bites going here. Put the other bead buddy in there. Try to keep that tire down in the center groove. Okay. Almost there. There we go. Take your bead buddies out. I always go around it and spray a little bit more on there. Flip the tire over. Don't really need that on there anymore. Go around it again. This just helps it get up on the bead. We'll put our inner tube core back in. Make sure it's good and tight. I hit those with 100 pounds of air. That's what my regulator's set to on my air compressor. Now, I don't check them, I just blast it. And as you can see, it looks like it beaded. Let me get a rag and wipe that soap off. Okay, with just the inner tube filled with air, it's beaded the tire. Okay, beaded it all the way around both sides. So that should be what happens when you fill that inner tube up with air. After I beat it, what I do is I let the air out of the inner tube, and then you can tighten the rim lock. And these rim locks need to be really tight. I don't know, they used to have a torque spec on them of about 11 or so foot-pounds, and I don't think they put a torque spec on them anymore, but I just tighten them up pretty tight. double check this. Now I'll put some air back in it. Now you see how the bubbles are coming out everywhere? It's not uncommon to see it do that. And it may not seal. And if it doesn't seal, what you're going to want to do, I mean, unless you tore up the bead when you put the tire on, they'll seal. So what'll happen is if it leaks a little, if you put some slime in it after you mount it on the bike and spin it, that slime will go all around and it'll seal up any place where it's not sealing. I'll show you how to do that here in a few minutes. Okay, put your second valve core in, and I usually air them up to about 30 pounds of air. At 28.5. 28 pounds of air in there. All right, so tires beaded, tires mounted. Now we'll put it back on the bike and we'll put some slime in it. All right, got the wheel back on the bike, and I let the air out of the tire part. I got my slime bottle here, and this is a 24-ounce bottle, and I put 12 ounces in. I thought it was 8, but I put 12. So, simply put that on there and squeeze until you get 12 ounces in there. Takes a bit of effort, but once you get that in there, I'll show you what you do after that. All right, I got my 12 ounces in there. So I'll put my air pressure back in and we'll spin the tire. By the way, I find it to be a good idea to take your hose that you're using to fill up your slime in your tire with and just run it through some hot water and rinse it out so that the slime's not in that tube, and that way you can reuse your tube all the time. So after you put your slime in, it's a good idea to take your air hose and put it on there. I don't know if you can see it, but blow the slime out of where your core is going to seal, because sometimes the cores don't seal very good if you leave that slime in there. Little piece of rubber or something gets on there and doesn't want to seal, so I always just put my air hose on there and blow through that to get the slime out of the valve core area. Okay, then we put some air back in our tire. Let's see what I did with my gauge. Nah, 21 pounds. It's probably good enough for now. So now the trick is just spin this tire. Spin it, and that'll get the slime circulated in there. You can fire the bike up and do this if you want. Take it for a ride, whatever. I just usually spin it a few times like this. And that just kind of gets that slime spread around in there. And see if I'm leaking bad. Yep, 21 pounds. All right, that's it. That's all there is to it. Don't forget to pump your brakes.